This week I was supposed to be making a start on the alterations to this enclosure. However, I am being involuntarily sidetracked by that creature in there. On-camera evidence that you are committing the exact crimes I'm accusing you of. Yes, you, sir, you're chewing the walls of your house. It is not socially acceptable to chew the walls of your house. Very cute, yes. Oh my gosh, you're so cute. Believe it or not, that current crime is not the one that's sidetracking us today. You might have noticed in that footage, he doesn't have a roof on that house. Which now I think about it, might explain why he's currently behaving so ruthlessly. Here are the roofs, they've been confiscated from him. Stop eating the walls! So allow me to explain the real problem here. Do you remember the incident with the mushroom hide from just a couple of months ago? If not, let me jog your memory real quick. There was this little mushroom hide that was in his setup from when he first moved into it. It provided some overhead shelter for him, and it went with the theme, it was lovely. But Lotus decided it would be far more fun if he were to flip the cap off the mushroom, and then scale up the stalk of it, so he could sit upon the top and overlook his kingdom like the tyrant he is. That behaviour in itself wasn't the big issue. The issue was that from the top of the stalk he could then reach up, grab hold of the mesh, and monkey bar his way across the enclosure. There was one person in the comments of that video who didn't understand why this would be an issue at all. If you're also one of those people, pause the video now and read my response. So my solution to this problem was to simply replace the mushroom hide with a different kind of hide. And I made this autumnal tree. It's a tree. It was an autumn-leafed orange, red, yellow, whatever colour leaves turn. I don't know, I've never seen one in real life, I've only seen them in American movies. This is what I thought they looked like. Apparently, according to you guys, it looks like a pizza. Gotta keep me humble somehow. So I replaced the regular mushroom with the pizza mushroom, and all was well. For a little bit. Someone suggested that I point the hamster camera at the pizza mushroom because they were fairly certain he was going to figure out how to climb it. He has one of the brattiest and most determined personalities I've seen in a hamster in years. I've had a lot of very docile ones, a lot of silly ones. He is a creature, he is a tyrant, he is a challenge to my daily life, and I love every moment of it. So I did what was suggested. I pointed the camera at the pizza mushroom, and for many nights it was quiet, it was calm. I was lulled into a false sense of security. And then one night, I catch him doing this. I swear he understands what the camera is. I catch him doing way too many sassy things directly in front of the camera. I know that it's just a coincidence, but at the same time, is it just a coincidence? Yes, obviously. So alright then, we've got a new challenge, not a problem. Love a challenge, love a hamster that gives me challenges. This one, another easy solve. All I had to do was put a piece of perspex directly above the mushroom pizza. It's a tree, it's an autumn tree. Gotta stop reinforcing the idea that it's a pizza. All I needed to do was attach a piece of perspex to the mesh above it, immediately solved the problem. He can climb up on that tree as much as he likes, which is safe, that's within the safe dropping height, so I really don't mind if he climbs up on there and jumps off, because there's very little risk of him injuring himself from that height. But truth be told, since putting the perspex there, he climbed the tree once, realised he couldn't reach the bars anymore, hasn't climbed the tree since. Problem solved, right? Yeah? No! I recently got some new footage of him climbing the bars, the mesh of his enclosure, clambering around on the top, being dangerous, being stupid. How? How was he doing this? I watched through this footage meticulously, over and over, trying to figure out how he managed to get back up there. I have blocked off all access. I went directly to the enclosure. I scanned this entire thing to try and figure out how he was possibly reaching that mesh. He is not a big hamster. He is not only a dwarf hamster, a hybridized winter white, which makes him even smaller, but he's a small hybridized winter white. He is one of the smallest ones I've ever had. He is short-legged, but he is determined. There was a brief moment where I genuinely considered if he'd done some kind of Sims 4 glitch and managed to stretch his limbs out obscenely long. But after watching the footage through a few times, I realised that he was climbing up from somewhere on this side of the enclosure. You can see the camera here, it points to that half. It does not cover this area of the enclosure. I can turn it round to face that way, but it wasn't at the time I caught that footage. So I realised whatever he's doing it from this side. So I turned the camera around that night. I was like, we're going to catch him. I'm going to figure out what he's doing. I can't figure it out just from looking at it. You've probably figured it out by this point, based on the fact there's no roof on his house. But here's the thing, okay? So I turn the camera around, I point it towards the house, and I'm thinking, there's no way. There's no way, because here I have in my hand the roof. You might notice it's reflecting my ring light off it there, because it's got a shiny top on it. Because when I built this roof, and we talked about this in the video where the roof was made, I put perspex over the roof for one specific reason. And that is that dwarf hamsters have hairy feet. They don't just have hair on the top of their feet, they have it on the bottom as well. No beans, only fluff. And the brilliant thing about that is that you can stop a dwarf hamster from climbing any unwanted surface simply by angling it and making sure that it's slick. And that can be done with a smooth surface like perspex. They physically cannot climb up this because they need to be able to grip something with their toes and with their claws because they don't have any beans. The beans of the paws are what provide the traction so that other species of hamster, like Syrians, can climb up these kinds of surfaces without immediately sliding down. So when I made the roof of this house, I gave it a slick surface so he could not climb it. So when I saw the footage of what he was doing, I couldn't even be angry. This was clever. This was impressive. There was a tiny, tiny gap at the top of the roof where the roof met the side of the enclosure. And what he was doing was climbing onto the smaller roof at the side of this one, launching himself up the perspex so that he could grip hold of that tiny little gap at the top, and then turning himself sideways and using just one front paw and one back paw to hold on to dear life. He was scooting across the top of the roof, getting over to the mesh, and climbing his way up there and onto freedom. How am I supposed to be mad about that? That's brilliant. So obviously, I had to confiscate his roof for safety. And his very in-character response to me taking away his roof was to demolish the walls of the house. Oh, are we disassembling this building? Allow me to help. He has completely stripped back the entire paper facade of the house, so it's just plywood now. I mean, there's a bit of paper left, but it's mostly just plywood. I assume he's taken it all down to his burrow and he's using it as nesting material. Which is the other thing. This isn't like the house he lives in or anything. This is just a chamber. This covers over one of the entrances to his burrows. He's got like 4 entrances. That house hides one of them. So I've not done anything wrong to him, he's just throwing a tantrum. Because he can. And I love that. By the way, one more thing I want to add in here, just for clarity of the situation. I'm not concerned that he's climbing the mesh out of boredom. He's climbing the mesh because he enjoys climbing the mesh. If he was doing it very frequently, then I would be concerned that there's something wrong with his setup. I've caught him doing it a handful of times. That's not a huge concern to me, that's just a thing he likes doing that isn't safe and needs to be stopped. And I do need to find him some alternative safe climbing opportunities since it's something he enjoys. However, if bar climbing and bar chewing is something that your hamster is doing all of the time and they're doing it in place of other activities and they're not playing with their other stuff, they're not burrowing, they're not solving puzzles, they're not foraging, they're not doing anything else and they're just really focused on bar climbing or bar chewing, that is a sign that there's something wrong with the setup. There's not enough for the hamster to do. They're not being stimulated enough and they're bored and you need to fix that. And that's not a situation that you can necessarily fix by just removing access to the bars. That is something that has an underlying issue that needs to be addressed. And potentially removing their access to the bars if they've been doing it for a long enough time that it's become a force of habit. Because then even if you try and fix the underlying issue of boredom, they might have built up this habit so stringently that they keep doing it and they don't notice that you've given them other things to do. So if you're having problems with them doing it all the time, you need to fix the underlying issue, potentially remove their access to the bars, and focus on giving them more enrichment and making sure all their basic needs are met. Oh, and I have successfully distracted myself away from my point. So long story short, the reason we're not working on this enclosure this week is because I have to build a brand new house for this guy that he cannot use to commit crimes. I really hope someone skipped the entire beginning of the video and just got that description. Don't go back, don't get context, just leave it where it is. I've taken the entire shelf from his enclosure because I don't just want to remake this house slightly taller and slightly more climb-proof. I want to do a completely different design, and that involves redesign the shelf as well because it's all designed around this house. So we're going to rip the whole thing apart and start from scratch. Removing the walls caused a few chips in the wood, so I've put some wood filler in there. I'm just waiting for that to dry so I can sand it smooth and do what I want to do to this. I've left the burrow cover on, and now I'm going to make a start on the house.
Maybe she's fooling us all to get what she wants. She's just playing games. Maybe that's what I want. She is out of reach for someone like me. Baby, you keep pushing me, yeah, yeah, yeah. Stop putting things in my head. Baby, 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 stop tempting me. Is it a dream? Only time will tell. I saw her take a glance at me. I think I got a chance now. Maybe she's all that I need. She's all that I want. Baby, I am who I am, and not what you want. She is out of reach for someone like me. Baby, you keep pushing me, yeah, yeah, yeah. Stop putting things in my head. Baby, 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 stop tempting me. Is it a dream? Oh, oh. Baby, you keep pushing me, yeah, yeah, yeah. Stop putting things in my head. Oh, baby, 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 stop tempting me. Is it a dream? Only time will tell.
It's 1:45. I'm going to keep going until about 2 a.m. And then we're going to call it a night. We're going to wave the flag and continue tomorrow morning. And I'm going to go into tomorrow under the delusion that I can finish it tomorrow. Will that actually happen? Maybe. I didn't finish working on this house at 2 a.m. It was almost 4 a.m. when I finally went to bed. In retrospect, I have a few regrets about that. However, it did give me plenty of time to come up with some new, fun ways of torturing myself with this build. Unfortunately, if I come up with an idea that I think is going to be good despite my own personal suffering, I must do it. That's the rules. I don't make them, I do make them. If I don't give in to the impulsive ideas, I will never be satisfied with the finished result. So I really don't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah, I'm restless, so give me something to do. Yeah, I can't stay here because I need to dance. Jump around and show them how I move. Everybody will be on me, wanna join me when I take a shot. I'll be the center of attention like I was some kind of astronaut. Cause I'm shooting for the moon tonight and I got a feeling I'm gonna crash some stupid party. Tear the ceiling down in front of everybody. If someone's pouring up a drink, I'm calling shawty. I'm gonna find a crowd so I can put it on me. Swinging from the chandeliers, I won't be sorry. I got a feeling I'm gonna crash into this party.
I'm just an accident waiting to happen like.
stop, yeah, I can't wait to hit that bass drop dance. It's all I wanna do right now. Oh, everybody will be on me, wanna join me when I take a shot. I'll be the center of attention like I was some kind of astronaut. Cause I'm shooting for the moon tonight and I got a feeling I'm gonna crash some stupid party. Tear the ceiling down in front of everybody. If someone's pouring up a drink, I'm calling shot it. I'm gonna find a crowd so I can put it on me. Swinging from the chandeliers, I won't be sorry. I got a feeling I'm gonna crash into this party. Cause I'm just an accident waiting.
Day 7086. Here's how we're looking. I severely underestimated how much time I was going to take on this project. I have the roof. This is just a couple of pieces of cardboard stuck together. That needs paper mache, painting, and giving some kind of finish. And once I've finished working on the roof, then I have to work on the shelf. Not much to be done to the shelf though. I need to sand back this wood filler. I might paint it. I haven't decided yet. And then I want to put a substrate border so that we can put some substrate in this area without it all sliding down into the sand bath. This is the little trick for making roofs that look like they're made from corrugated iron. This is great if you like to do miniature crafts. Get a piece of cardboard, obviously corrugated cardboard, and you just gently peel off that very top layer. And then you just paint that the colour you want it, and you've got a piece of mock corrugated iron. I'm going to paper mache the base of the roof to make it stronger and more sturdy. We're going to paint that a base colour and then attach the corrugated roof and paint those as well.
Heard somebody say this is living don't come easy, and you never find your way. And if you try and walk alone, you already lost believing. And if the word rings true, and there's darkness before light, find somebody and get together. Make love last forever, every day and every night. sure it's sad, but it's true. And it can get the best of anyone. This loneliness won't get you through.
With the new chamber jailhouse complete, it's time to add it to the enclosure and introduce our resident inmate. All those late nights, all those hours spent, all that completely unnecessary detail work, all of it coming together for this one victorious moment. Behold, a criminal thwarted. Behold a criminal not quite yet thwarted. Behold a criminal still very much at large. Behold what retrospectively should have been a very obvious flaw in my design. Thankfully, it is a flaw that can be easily remedied with a bit of perspex. And so I give it to you once more. Behold, a criminal thwarted. I hope, hopefully, maybe, we will see, perhaps. What did you just do? There's no way you jumped. There's absolutely no way you jumped. So this is totally unacceptable. Into the scoop, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Guess who's losing tree privileges once again? Well, thank you for joining me in what has turned out to be a colossal waste of time, yours and mine. Every free moment I've had over the last 2 weeks has been spent building that jailhouse. Time well spent. Anyway, I'm gonna go and sob into a baked potato. I'll see you next time. I would say that you're not going to believe this, but you're absolutely going to believe it. 2 weeks. He was thwarted for exactly 2 weeks. And then he realised that all this time he's been climbing and clambering on things, when apparently he could just run straight up the glass and just reach the bars that way. This is a lesson in not putting the shelves in your enclosure too high. This is a lesson in the importance of cage height, extra cage height, above where the substrate ends. This is a lesson in honestly just doing the thing you should have done in the first place, which is attaching a piece of perspex to the front of the mesh so he couldn't do this again. So anyway, this is... yeah, I don't know how long before he figures out another way. I can't see another way in which he could do this. He's been well behaved since putting the perspex on the front. He had one go, realized he couldn't figure his way up there, and gave up. So, we'll see. We'll see if this is finally the end of this battle. Yeah, I don't know what else to say to this. I'm exhausted, and this video has been so long, and it's taken me so many days to edit, and it's just, I'm done now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.